Okay. So again, I introduced you to Santiago. We also have Ms. Evelyn Rodriguez. She is a parent, also an IF. So she has been gracious enough to join us to answer any questions that anybody has as well. This is Ms. Beth Martinko. Her son is also in the program, and Beth is a huge source of knowledge, as well as Evelyn. Okay, and I think do I have one more person? Yes, I do. Vanessa. Kathy Furukawa and Vanessa. So I'm gonna go grab those guys. And then I don't know if you guys want to start off really quick while we're still getting set up for our other presentations by introducing yourself. I did a crap job at it, trying my best over here. My weekend job is a stand-up comedian, though. So this is why I have a day job. Okay, guys. So if you guys wouldn't mind just kind of passing the mic and just giving a little bit of about yourself or whatever it is that you want to share, feel free to speak in whatever language you guys want, okay? Yeah, so I'm done. Yeah, clearly I have, yeah.
Thank you, Manaya. So my name is Beth, as Manaya said. I'm a mom to a 32-year-old who's served by Regional Center. And we moved to California in 2015. And so we started using services when he was already an adult. So he was in the traditional program for a few years, and we have him at a really great day program. It's actually the one that's sponsoring this conference today. So shout out to Integrity House. If you don't know about them, learn about them, because it's a great day program. But as he was getting older, it just wasn't the best life that he could live. He was just not necessarily interested in all the other things. He didn't necessarily like hanging out with groups of people, etc. So we heard about SDP, and we thought, oh, that sounds interesting. Let's give that a look. And it has been life-changing, absolutely life-changing. As Manaya said, I can't stop talking about this program. He went from me dropping him off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then him texting me every hour, is it time to come home yet? Is it time to come home yet? Is it time to come home yet? To he now has his own aides. They take him places. He goes to things he likes to do. Today he's actually up in Hollywood with one of his aides attending a voiceover class because he loves Disney and he can do all the Disney voices. So we're channeling that skill that he has, that natural skill. It can actually be a career. And believe it or not, they pay like $1,500 for a voiceover gig. I'm like, get out of here. That's more money than I would ever make. So it's really opening up doors. He can try things. If he doesn't like them, he can go somewhere else. It's all up to him within the guidelines of the program, of course. So you'll hear people say it's kind of a pain in the ass, and it can be, but if you get a good independent facilitator, and Regional Center of Orange County is awesome. Kathy Furukawa, who's going to be here, is the head of SDP, so you can get there. You can get there. We're now in year 3, and we would never, ever go back. So that's a little infomercial. There you go.
Hi. My name is Vanessa Garcia. My son is with Westside Regional Center. He's been self-determination for almost a year. He is on the spectrum. And my daughter is 20. She is 5th category, and she has been in self-determination for a year. And I became an independent facilitator in the course of developing their spending plan and everything like that. And it's been wonderful. My daughter's 5th category, so from the beginning we knew she was going to be a self-determination because we couldn't find traditional services that really benefited her. But for my son, he was finding traditional services and we had no problems. When I transitioned my daughter over, it was incredible. She was able to get college tutoring. She was able to take multiple social reps. She was in dance, she's in sewing class. She has a personal trainer. She goes to the gym. I think there's a couple other ones. They also, she's into jewelry making and crafts. So they funded some of that, and it's been incredible. I thought it was only great for those who were kind of not benefiting from traditional services, and then there was a provider my son wanted to keep, and he had aged out of ABA, so we needed to match his pay rate, and respite and PA rates weren't cutting it for him, so I transitioned him, and I was just blown away by the impact that it made for him because, I mean, like I said, I had no issues whatsoever with traditional services, and he has completely like developed and changed and just grown so much. One of the big things we did is we were able to bring in his own providers, which he loved. He was able to keep people that he had bonded with throughout the years that were funded through generic resources. But then he's really into technology. And he had always wanted to start a micro enterprise business, and he loves 3D prints. So he is over there with his 3D printer running. This is one of the things he designed. They're all his original designs. So Self-Determination funded the 3D printer, the supplies, and through the same agency, who's also here, Franklin Educational Services, we got a micro enterprise coach who is amazing, and he treats it like a business. The person actually helps start up all kinds of businesses, but for my son, he does micro enterprise. They are working on a website. My son keeps inventory of how much filament it takes to print something. They've developed a price sheet where my son, makes a profit. It's really helped him grow and develop, where before this was just a dream that no one really thought was possible for him. Like, how are we going to be able to afford to start up this business and to support him in the way that he needed to make it effective and set him up for success? But there it was, and when we go to these events and when he's talking about his products, he's so proud of himself because our children, whatever age they are, they all have dreams, and they don't really get supported in those dreams. There's so many obstacles in the way, and sometimes it's money, sometimes it's the right support, sometimes it's them not being given the importance and value that they deserve. And with self-determination, you can access all those things, and it's incredible because now he's out there. When we leave these events, he is just like walking out. He's so proud of himself, and he tells his team what happened, what they did, and how much he sold, and all the good things people said about him, and his self-esteem and his self-worth have just like skyrocketed. And this is for someone who I never thought would benefit from self-determination. I hear about it, and he's been a client since he was like 15 or 16. And I just thought, it's such a bother. What's the point? He has his services. He attended Game Jam, who's also here, and he's fine, but fine isn't enough. Regional centers, consumers deserve more than just fine, and that's what self-determination does. We're so grateful. He also does things like kickboxing. He wanted to get in shape. We met somebody at one of the resource fairs. He does that. They also pay for his art supplies. So he's always able to have his art supplies, and they cover the cost of a tablet and a drawing tablet, and all these things were in his IPP. So I do want to say it's very important when you have your IPPs to talk and talk and talk and talk and let them know everything about your child and encourage them. Maybe go in with a one-page, what do they call it? And not the beginning of the PCP, a one-page profile. And go in with that at the very least. There's tons of them online, and have, if you're the consumer, please fill it out. If it's your child, have them fill it out and present it to your service coordinator. And just let them know everything, all their hopes, all their dreams, all their aspirations, even if it seems it's unattainable. With self-determination, it's really not. My daughter attends, this amazing dance school, and she's there just with everyone. Sewing class has been wonderful because my daughter has severe learning disabilities, and school has always been a challenge. Her first day of sewing class, I was like, how did it go? Was it hard? And she goes, no, it wasn't hard at all. I knew everything, and I didn't need extra help. And as a parent, it's just like, you're like, this is it. And I just got to 4 lessons. She even sewed her brother's cosplay costume for Halloween. It's wonderful. And she has workshops. She's making dog coats this weekend. It's like every little thing in your heart, every little flicker, that's what SCP is for, just to fund that. And of course, you still address all the other needs that traditional services do, but it's just been so incredible. Even for someone who I was like, there's no way, this is such a mess, it's such a bother. And looking back in the last year, and as a parent having to learn it and attend classes, and it was frustrating at times because it was all so new, and my service coordinator, we were her first self-determination client, so it was a lot of learning, but I never looked back and thought that wasn't worth it or that was too much trouble. Like, never. It doesn't even compare. You know, I know it takes a little bit of time to get, you know, your independent facilitator, if you use one, you know, to find an FMS, and people are still learning, so we all have to be a little patient. There's some hiccups here and there, but it's completely worth it. It's just amazing.
Hi. Hello, my name is Santiago. I'm from South Central Regional Center, and I'm a self-advocate in the self-determination program. Prior to me getting in STP, I was receiving services in traditional service system, and it was all right. It wasn't until the pandemic, like, everything started to change, and I started to realize, like all the, like, I was in a box, and I had to cram into a box for every, and I started to outgrow the box. So one day I saw an Instagram post on my regional center about self-determination. So I wrote to this lady, and she's right there. Her name's Naomi Hale. She worked at Slark at the time, and she wrote me back like, "Oh, you want some information? STP?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And then after I attended the formal session, and I decided to just go for it and enroll. I know it was like a lot of hard work. I heard stories like people dropped out because it was a lot of hard work. But for me, at the end, now going back to everything, it was worth it at the end. Because at the end of the day, you get to finally decide which programs you need as catered to your services. Like, for example, in the traditional system, I had a fitness program, but I was starting to outgrow it because sometimes they would just weigh you, and then like 40 minutes of treadmills, and that was it. And during the pandemic, most of it was on Zoom. Now I do a personal trainer program, a real one that's my trainer's accountable to me, that he's accountable, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and like really work, and I'm so sore from like the workout 2 days ago. And also in STP, like I can get to like use Uber to transport me without relying on vendors or other supports to help me. And also I can get to pick my support staff for like cooking, cleaning, school and stuff, even job coaching. Like my current job is a server at an assisted living facility in Downey. It's actually really good because prior to that, I was at a job mainly at this federal government program for disabled people. And the last few months after I entered STP, I was starting to it was starting to become a dead-end job. So I just, with the help of my support staff and everything, I just took a chance in being employed with non-disabled people. I think I'm the only disabled people there at my job. And yeah, that was a real challenge, but it worked out at the end for everything. And I'm also going back to school to become a social worker, to help other people become advocates and help other disabled people become advocates themselves. Because I realized during my journeys in traditional system, there was a lot of, I'm going to say a lot of not good things, like for the programs and the people over there. And yeah, if that happened to me with a voice, I just imagine what happens to the other person without a voice, without support. And that's the people I worry the most of the time. So I'm trying to change that. Even if it's one person at a time, I know I'll accomplish it. And hopefully, I'm also training to become an independent facilitator myself, so I can identify their needs and help people achieve their goals and dreams. As I eventually realized, I talked to Naomi one time, and she told me, I'm already a superhero, and you have the power all along, and I just need to use it. And that was really great. And I want to help people use my powers to help other people too achieve their goals and dreams.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Evelyn Rodríguez. Soy madre de un cliente en el 4º año del programa de autodeterminación. Mi hijo salió en la lotería de DDS, por eso estamos más avanzados.
Year of the program, and I'm an independent facilitator.
Yo quisiera compartir que una de las grandes barreras por lo cual las familias no tienen miedo de entrar al programa es el trabajo. Es mucho trabajo realmente el programa, pero no están solos.
One of the barriers I like to share for why families don't join the program is because it's a lot of work, but you're not going to be alone.
Existe el rol de la facilitadora independiente y esta persona, ustedes tienen que buscarla con mucho cuidado. Si tiene el plus de ser un advocate, les va a poder ayudar mucho más.
There are people called independent facilitators, and you have to choose them carefully because they're going to be the ones that are going to help you.
La clave en este centro regional es una de las grandes barreras, era el presupuesto, obtener presupuestos que reflejen realmente los servicios que tienen sus hijos, que necesitan sus hijos.
One of the main barriers the regional center had was the budget, that how it would reflect the services your kids are having.
Pero esta barrera ya se está logrando derribar porque el centro regional está siendo más flexible en ver las necesidades del cliente, de las familias, y está dando servicios y también servicios por excepción.
But this is a barrier we're now able to overcome since the regional center is now more flexible on the services that they are giving the kids.
Es por eso lo importante que ustedes escojan un buen facilitador independiente que sea un advocate, que les ayude a trabajar en equipo para que cubran las necesidades de su hijo, del ser querido, y puedan tener un presupuesto con el cual empezar el programa.
That's why it's important that you choose a good independent facilitator that's an advocate for your son or your loved one.
Como mamá, les comparto que estos 4 años que mi hijo está en el programa realmente nos cambió la vida.
As a mom, I'd like to share with you that these 4 years that my son has been in the program has changed our lives.
Porque, por ejemplo, en mi caso, mi hijo, sus necesidades principales son cuidado, supervisión, tiene desafíos en los comportamientos.
Because, for example, with my son, one of the main difficulties is behavior, and he needs constant supervision and care.
Y gracias al programa yo puedo contratar personas que lo cuidan, personas que lo sacan a la comunidad, pero son personas que tienen entrenamiento de comportamiento, son personas que han trabajado en programas de día y tienen esa experiencia ya.
And thanks to the program, I can hire people that are trained in behavior that can take him out to the community and take care of him.
Mi hijo puede tener servicios recreacionales en la comunidad, puede estar integrado pese a sus comportamientos, pero él está con personas que lo asisten, que lo cuidan para cualquier desafío que se puede enfrentar.
So he can do recreational activities in the community, even though he has these behavior problems, there's always someone that's there with him.
Incluso con el programa ustedes pueden comprar algunas, por ejemplo, un GPS tracker en el caso de personas que se pueden escapar o pueden echarse a correr en la comunidad. Es muy flexible, muy accesible el programa.
The program is very flexible. You can even buy a GPS tracker for people that are prone to running away.
Todo es de acuerdo a la necesidad del cliente. Si su necesidad es personal de apoyo, de cuidado, si su necesidad es hacer una vida inclusive en la comunidad, independiente, con clases, trabajos, si su necesidad es compras para el college, todo es de acuerdo a la necesidad.
It all revolves around the needs of the person in need. So depending if they need help going shopping or making a life around the community or doing activities around the community.
Y por último, quería compartirles que hay un documento muy importante dentro de este proceso para transicionar a autodeterminación, que es el PCP, el plan centrado en la persona.
Lastly, I wanted to share there's a very important document here. It's called the PCP. Plan centered on the person.
Person-centered plan.
Person-centered plan.
Este documento es muy importante que lo desarrollen ustedes en equipo, con su facilitadora, con su ser querido, todas las personas que lo conocen y puedan aportar a este documento.
It's very important for you to develop this paper with the facilitator and your loved one.
Porque en este documento se habla de sueños, se habla de metas, se habla de qué cosas le gusta, qué cosas no le gusta, qué desafíos tienen en su vida.
Because this document talks about things they like, things they don't like, about goals and about dreams.
Y este documento tiene que anexarse al IPP. Estas metas que ustedes crean en equipo tienen que ir al IPP.
And these goals are annexed to the IPP, and these are things you have to put in with the IPP.
Porque todos los servicios que ustedes compren bajo autodeterminación, ya sean clases, ya sean dispositivos, ya sean contratar empleados, todo se basa en las metas que ustedes tengan en el IPP.
Because these are all based on the IPP. If you want to hire classes or buy devices or hire employees, it's all based on the IPP.
Eso es lo que quería compartirles, un pequeño resumen. Gracias.
That's what I wanted to show you. A small, just little thing. Thank you.
Yes, I think we're doing a Q&A if anybody has any questions. Because as you can hear, we could go on all day about this, and we will if you don't have questions. But are there any questions? Yes.
I think that this SDP is for kids older. My son is 13. Is that for him?
It's for any age.
Let's get that.
SDP is for children since 3 years old. It's for all the long-term service. Desde los after 3 years old. It's for everyone.
The only ones that aren't are early intervention and provisional eligibility. They're not eligible for self-determination, but any other regional center client under the Land Term Act is qualified.
Yeah, so anybody can go into SDP, but the services are slightly different between minors and adults. And it's based on the tradition, your budget in self-determination is based on your traditional services budget. So what they would have spent for my son's day program, they put that into his SDP budget so he could spend it on voiceover classes, for example. For minors, there are a lot more generic resources that you have to use first before you can get regional center to pay. So school plays a huge role in this, right? They're supposed to take care of a lot of this. So it doesn't really switch, all of that kind of stuff doesn't really switch over to regional center until they graduate or they get their certificate. That said, there's no, like, the person should still get what they need, it's just where do you go? And regional center has to have you exhaust your, what they call generic resources first. So that's like Medicaid, and it's like school, and it's like your insurance and that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think we can all address that, each from our own perspectives, right? So how do you find a good IF? I lurked out on the Facebook group, SDP Forum, Self-Determination Program Forum. If you're not on that, join that. There's all kinds of IFs that lurk out there, and they'll pop in to answer questions. So it's just a mishmash of anybody who wants to care about SDP. So that is the single best place, in my opinion, to go. So the way I found my first facilitator was she had posted that she was doing basically a webinar about independent facilitation and whatnot, and I liked what she said, so I picked her up. The second one that we transitioned to, I saw all her posts on the SDP forum over time, and she was just a perfect match for us, so we gravitated to her. People who are already in the program can give you their thoughts. There is a list, an official list that you can go by, and there's a lot of them here today. So go talk to every single one of them and see which one clicks with you. Like I think there's like 10 out there, so there's no reason not to find one today, at least to get you started. And then you can always transition to someone else. Like just get started, right? Like start the process, and then let things will flow, and you'll get a feeling for where you want to go. Because when you start out, you don't know what you don't know. So it's better to get somebody to get going, and then, as this lady said, then you want to make sure that you get a good one when you really want to go in for the budget discussions and whatnot. Unfortunately, that was our last question, so we're just going to let everybody answer. That's what she said. But we'll be around. Like, I'm not going anywhere, so I'll help if anybody.
For myself personally, I became an independent facilitator. I took independent facilitator courses. I took 2 person-centered thinking planning courses, and they were all free. I asked my service coordinator a lot of questions. I did a lot of research. And because my children are over 18, I actually added myself to their spending plan as an independent facilitator. But all the things she said, just ask around, get more than one opinion. I would suggest be very careful when using the word advocacy when you're speaking to regional center about an independent facilitator, because you are not allowed to have an advocate per se on your spending plan. But what an independent facilitator can do, which is similar, is to support you in accessing generic resources. So that's school district, that's DOR, that's IHSS, SSI, and other things like that. So that's how they can do advocacy like work for you, but just be careful using that term. And they're also there to help you implement your IPP. So that's another way they can work for you and fight for you, and ask them. I am not around here, so I'm not here trying to get clients. I work at Westside Regional Center, but I know my generic resources well. I have 2 adult children, and I've always been a parent advocate for them. So I think it's very, very important that you ask them, their knowledge about DOR and IHSS and SSI and the school district. Are they able to support you in that? If not, those are additional costs you're going to incur and services you're going to lose, and you're paying them a lot of money, or your spending plan is. So make sure you're getting the value. When I work with families, I'll do everything. I'll help support them through their IHSS application and make sure they're getting their maximum amount of hours. I'm attending their IPPs. I'm speaking to their service coordinator. I'm talking to people at the regional center trying to get it done. I'm going through their, IEPs. I'm helping them with DOR, making sure that they're getting all the resources and stretching their budget, because there's a lot of generic resources out there. Just, you need to know how to maneuver them and need to know what you can get out of them. A lot of the times we have overlapping services where I'm like, okay, I guess I'll get it from DOR. DOR is a great resource. They pay for a lot of things that people have in their spending plan, unfortunately, and you can use that money for, other things. And so just ask them, don't feel you need to settle on anyone. Don't just take one person's word. Don't think just because some person has been in it for a while. I know Naomi, she's wonderful, but there's some people who have a good reputation, and I honestly don't know why, because I've spoken to them or I've seen their spending plans, and I'm like, wow, they.
Don't scare them.
Let's
get them started. Yeah, get
I'm
started.
sorry.
Because you'll learn whether you click or not, and then you just transition.
But don't be scared to ask for stuff.
Yeah.
Don't feel like, oh, there's a wait list for IVs, let me just take one and go, because that'll set you back. Be a little patient. Make sure you find one that you click with. Don't feel like you just have to take someone because they're there. Pick someone you feel comfortable with.
I also agree with them. Like, make sure you interview them and their advocacy, like what they do for you and stuff. My first independent facilitator, I was through a regional center event. I interviewed a couple of them and I picked one. And the initial person center plan was great, was fabulous and stuff. And it helped me into STP. But I'm gonna say like 4 or 5 months in the STP, it was a problem with my IF, and then we had problems with the cost and everything. And I had to let her go. And my friend Naomi also recommended me find another IF. She's actually right there right now, Miss Tamara Polly. And we've been great ever since that. Yeah, and she helped me a lot, and she was there when I need her and stuff. And one thing I want to tell everyone, parents, self-advocates, everyone, when you pick an IF, if they send you an agreement, read it very carefully, because it's a lot, because sometimes, like, I'm going to say, like, when you do IF services, they might charge you monthly, every month, even if they don't use them. So my advice is like, find someone. I'm not sure about you, but for me, my advice is like, find someone, like, if you really need them for pay per hour or something like that. Like, I'm gonna say, yeah, like, find someone that you really like pay per hour, and then also find someone that you really connect and really knows your regional center, like can really help you with go through the barriers at the regional centers. And also I recommend that, like, if you're a parent and you need advocacy like an IEP and stuff, find out if they can help you on that too. Thank you.
Thank you all for attending this.